And then Ferd comes like, hey, you should try this thing, right? And I was like, try. Oh, I looked at it. It's like, oh, that's the smelling salts ammonia thing? Like I've heard about that, not knowing what it is. Someone's recording me going up to Ferd, and he just puts up at my nose, and I just like I had like the worst reaction. It was like it went through my entire face. Like I thought I like it's supposed to wake you up, but I thought I was about to pass out. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jovin from the GoLoco show. With me today, I got two very special guests. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves real quick? Just like, name, your background. You could talk about let's start with that. Just name, background, some stuff.
Brad, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So name's Brad Worth. I worked in facilities for a decade. I like to lift heavy things and set them back down. And I met this guy in the middle through work, and we learned that we both liked lifting, and that's how our friendship blossomed.
Yeah. Thanks, Brad. Hey, everybody. Name's Ferd Lewis. Instagram handle is Ferd_lifts. Please go give me a follow. I'm one of the owners and founders of Hella Strength Gym, a strength-based gym in the Bay Area, San Francisco area, really in San Jose. Come check us out at Hella Strength. I came up through life in the hardcore streets of Eastside San Jose. I was a nerd most of my life, and got into the Marines, came out of the Marines, got into facilities, and in the middle of that, learned how to lift. And met Brad before we even worked together at my first powerlifting meet. And since then, that fascination of lifting kind of put me into this whole world of powerlifting. I'm now a national ref with the USPA, and then hosting meets here and there, trying to do and give back to the community. So I'm a big fan of the powerlifting world and strength sports in general. So thank you for having us.
Of course. Yeah, so I just wanted to, if the audience may or may not know what powerlifting is, one of you guys like to just explain, like if you were talking to just like a random person and they asked like, oh, you do powerlifting? What is that? Like, how would you explain that to someone with like relatively little to no knowledge of like just going to the gym in general?
Let you take that one, Bird.
All right, cool. So powerlifting itself is a strength-based sport which revolves around three major lifts, which would be the squat. The back squat for some people who CrossFit. It's the back squat, the bench press, and the deadlift. Each of those lifts are executed in succession. And in a traditional powerlifting meet, you have 3 attempts to execute the squat, 3 attempts to execute bench press, three attempts to execute the deadlift, which is a barbell movement of, we can go into the details of what squatting is, bench pressing is, and deadlifting is, but basically that's the gist of it. Trying to have a successful lift, and then your successful lifts are counted into a cumulative total, and whoever has the best total in comparison to their body weight is the champion of the day. So that's powerlifting in general. It's a lot of fun. That's the competitive side of it. The mental health, the physical health aspect of it, just speaks volumes. It just really brings you out of your shell and gets you into this world of craziness.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So for context, for me, I'm not really that far into like powerlifting. I do like those 3 lifts. I do most of my workouts revolve around at least starting with one of those 3 lifts for most of my workouts. So I've been working on my squat, my bench, my deadlift. Ferd actually helped me with some of my form of my deadlift and realizing that maybe I'm more naturally better at doing it conventional than sumo. I had been doing it sumo for like a year and a half prior, and then he helped me out saying like, you have like this hitch in sumo, and then I was like, let me try conventional, and he helped me realize like, oh, that hitch is basically all gone now, so maybe it was something with just like my body wasn't as used to sumo. Let me just ask both of you guys, what's of the 3 powerlifting lifts, which is your favorite? So between the bench, the squat, the deadlift, any like which one's your favorite to perform and execute? And like, yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah. Brad, you
Brad, you can go first.
Squat is my absolute favorite. It's just there's something about like unracking a weight on your back that like if you screw up can really like mess you up. That gives me like a fun adrenaline rush. And it's also the one that I'm the most proficient at. So that makes it easier. Deadlift is also a close second. It's just really hard. And then I just try to forget about bench. I absolutely despise bench. I'm trash at it.
poverty.
Yes, that's not even. I'm below poverty.
Yeah, for me, I'm a very short man. I'm 5'4" on a good day of about 200 pounds, 230 pounds of Filipino pride. So, so in that regard, my thing right now is squat. Because of my body type and the way I'm constructed, I'm very proficient at squat. Being 5'4" and being able to bench 500. Oh no, sorry, bench. I wish squat 500 pounds. And just being able to rep that out. To me, it's like, oh my god, like it's crazy. You'll see guys, muscle bound guys, the ones you traditionally think of. These guys are yoked out of their mind, and they see me, this little chunky Filipino dude, walk in, and all of a sudden, he's really gonna put 500 on the plate. Okay, whatever. And I squat it, and you're like, oh my god, that man is muscle. Next one is bench. Only because bench is such a bro lift. Like you unrack it and you go ahead and do your benches. Like you're just being a bro. It's a lot of fun in there.
Trying to get that mythical 405 right there.
Yeah, right. And I like it because sometimes I bench more than Brad.
So like all the time. I like it. I can do whatever. Like it just won't go up. My bench sucks.
And then the least favorite one of mine is the deadlift. No matter what, I'm stuck at 485. Doesn't matter what I do or anything I do. I'm trying all kinds of things. Man. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It doesn't matter if I try sumo. The variation between sumo stance and the conventional stance is very is prevalent to some lifters. I went to sumo because I'm short, so it's supposed to help me out. No, I couldn't deadlift 350 off sumo. I go to a conventional. I'm running 400. I'm like, okay, screw me, like whatever. But for the first time ever in my life, I deadlifted 500. It was with a trap bar, and I didn't care. It was a deadlift off a trap bar. 500 is 500 off the ground. I'm like, oh my god, 500! And then I just passed out. So I mean, it is what it is.
It's all good. For me, if just to go off you guys, obviously I'm not as experienced, but I think my order would be in the order of how good I am at the lift. So it'll be deadlift, then squat, then bench. Because like for me, I think I've been working on my deadlift probably the longest because it was the form that I like started out like, okay, I'm gonna try to do this. And then squatting, I've been squatting. Well, I started kind of squatting back in high school when I was in track and field. I could barely get 25s on the bar back then, but my friend couldn't even do the bar. So, and he was going out to like, I think he went to the army. So I don't know if he still was to not squat the bar. Versus
way to call out the armed services there.
Oh,
like,
no, it's all good.
Veteran friendly podcast. I am a veteran, so God bless the troops.
No, it's all good. And then for me, like I don't know what like since like not post pandemic, but like going back to the gym after COVID had started, I had like gone on solid baseline. I obviously wasn't able to go to the gym or I didn't have any equipment at home, didn't go to the gym for many months. So like a bunch of my strength left, but like I've now exceeded that strength, the very beginner strength that I had right before. Cause like it's for context, my bench was like, I could barely get like 3 reps of 135. That's like I get easy 8 to 10 reps now. A few months after going back to the gym, got both over 300 on both my squat and my deadlift. But like my bench, just like I see my squat and deadlift gains are like exponentially going up. And then I think like you, Brad, my bench is like, 185 is good today. You know, that's all I got. I was like, I saw a video. I did 185. I was like, oh, it was fine. I didn't have any 2.5 plates. So I was like, okay, let me do 195. I couldn't get off my chest. I was like, help. So,
no.
Yeah.
You found though that you can bench more frequently? Because like I can bench every day. I don't, but because I really just don't like benching, but like it's so much easier to recover from. And like one thing I've noticed is that if my squat is really going up, my deadlift will follow just because it's working the similar muscles, and vice versa. If my deadlift is going up, then my squat's
like
going up, even if like in training it doesn't feel that way.
True. Like I've had more gains on my overhead, the military shoulder press, than I've had on my bench. I'm like, what the heck, man? It's like really, this is the lift that no one can really do that well. And here I am, like 40 pounds in like 2 months, and I can't get my bench up at all.
I wish I could military press. I can't. My shoulders are just
they're messed up.
Yeah. Well, they're not like I used to be young, spry, and like able to do stuff that I can't do anymore. And I try to throw on some weight. All right, let's do a shoulder press. No. That feeling it's gonna snap off your shoulder. I'm like, ooh, it's fine. I'll bench. It's fine.
It's all good.
Low bar. It's all right. We're good here. This is fine.
So we've been talking a lot about powerlifting. How could you guys describe like this someone like who's going to the gym for your first time, or not first time, but like starting to get going to the gym, start getting they've done a little bit of cardio. They've done like some dumbbell curls that they saw Arnold doing back in the day or something. How would you like compare, like if they're asking like, okay, like should I do powerlifting, should I do bodybuilding, should I do CrossFit? No, I'm half joking anyway, but like how would you compare like those different types of like exercise routines, and like what would you like for a beginner, how would you push them one way or the other, like depending on what goals they have? So that's for me, I'm like I really favor doing the powerlifting lifts first, but I also do like bodybuilding accessories because I want to I want to be able to take off my shirt in summer. I still can't, but I'll get there maybe. I don't know. But yeah, so like how would you like compare powerlifting to bodybuilding, calisthenics, anything like that? Like how would you convince a person to go one way or the other?
Brad, it's all you, man.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, the way I look at it, when I was younger, I was more like black and white with things. Like you have to do this. Now it's more like, if you like it, do it. Like it doesn't really matter. You can get the same results or similar results doing all of them. But an easy way to digest it is like the powerlifting movements. That's if you want to, build like your overall strength. And then bodybuilding is mass. Just if you want to get jacked, like you wanted to have the beach bod. And then CrossFit would be like jack of all trades, master of none type thing. Like you're good at a lot of things or proficient at a lot of things, but not excellent at everything. And it's also like time constraint too. Like some things, like some CrossFit workouts only take like 10 minutes. So like, and if you're strapped for equipment, that's, especially now, that's the way to go. And then, powerlifting, that it can take, I've seen people, they train for like 4 hours. I don't know how they have the time, but but it's, combining your strength movements like powerlifting and then doing, like you said, the bodybuilding movements after. I've seen that's been a huge trend, especially in the powerlifting world, just to like the era of like the fat powerlifters is dying. Now you're seeing these guys that are just jacked that look like they should be playing like strong safety in the NFL, putting up crazy numbers.
Yeah, on my end, when I do it, a lot of people ask me like, "Hey, I want to get into powerlifting. I want to get into this." It's really, what's your fitness goal here? Because powerlifting is notorious for having, very few reps for a lot of weights. Inverse of what bodybuilding is, which is not a lot of weight for a lot of reps. And so you get different fitness goals out of that. So it's really just talking to the person saying, hey, what do you want to do? Powerlifting for me is like, come as you are who you are. And it's just all about inner strength. You're not really worthy of aesthetics. You just want to be able to go when you need to go. And you have a lot of bodybuilders like, oh, I want to look good for the beach or whatever have you. That's cool. Go for it, man. That is what is your prerogative. Again, CrossFitters, you have those people who are like, I think I'm better than you because I could do, keeping pull-ups, but it is what it is. I'm not going to say more than that. But it really is just kind of like, what is your goal here? Because if you are about like just inner strength and just having a good time, I would always tell people go powerlifting. And people are like, well, it's frustrating because I can't do X, Y, Z. Well, yesterday I managed the meet. Or not managed, I repped in a meet, and I had an 85-year-old woman bench press. I want to say almost a damn near, a little bit, damn near 130 pounds, damn near. And so, like you see an 85, and that was a national record. So an 85-year-old woman doing that and actually setting records because she likes the enjoyment of the lift and all that stuff. Wonderful to see. So I would almost counter that the powerlifting community is probably one of the most welcoming communities of all strength sports out there.
Strongman may give you a run for its money, but yeah, I've been at meets too where there was a guy that had been competing since like the late 60s at the last meet I did, and like just watching, I think he squatted like 405 or something like that, something ridiculous for his age, like that the old dude that's just still touching the bar and moving weight around.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, my one of my first coaches getting really into lifting was a guy named Keith Kanemoto, a Hall of Famer in the powerlifting world in the Bay Area. Man's 60 some odd years old, still squats 700 pounds. Like that to me is incredible. I want to be able to do that at his age. I can't even do that at my age. So I want to do that at his age. It's pretty crazy. A lot of respect.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah. So basically, yeah, I think like what you're saying is like that. The Brad earlier talking about like how people are kind of combining that powerlifting and bodybuilding aspect. I think there's like Powerbuilding. I think that's the new term. Is kind of what I'm doing. I follow a lot of people I follow that've been using that term. But yeah. I'm trying to think what my question was. So we were talking about how we were explaining like, oh, if you're talking to a new person about what's your training goals, whether it's powerlifting, bodybuilding, overall health, muscle endurance, overall athletic, whichever one it is and which avenue to go towards. But I know a lot of people, especially whether they're relatively new to the gym, whether they're like, the controversial thing of women in the gym feeling that they're not feeling as safe. Like how can we as like a community, just a fitness community, I feel like there's this like outside stigma where there's like you feel like you're being judged, like, oh, am I doing this tricep push down wrong? Oh, did I, and like, is this person looking at me while I'm squatting? Like, how can we like not fix, but like, is there any ideas about, since Ferd, you have a gym, Hella Strength, right? So how do you want to cultivate like a welcoming gym environment in which people who are just relatively new can just come in and not feel like they're being judged for either doing it wrong, for thinking someone's looking at them when, even if they're, whether or not they are or not, like, because that's like really controversial topic, I feel like, for some people who want to get to the gym.
I think the first thing you need to do is avoid global gyms. The Planet Fitnesses, the 24-hour Fitness, the LA Fitness, those places, for them, you're just a number, right? You go in there and you're like, hey, I'm collecting my $40 from you, and thank you. I'll never see you, talk to you ever again, right? They just let people do their thing. I highly encourage people to go to these smaller mom and pop boutique gyms like Hella Strength. There's a couple more in the Bay Area, and I'm sure there's more in your area too. And go there and read the room, see how members are, see how the staff is, because it's up to them to really cultivate that sense of community and that sense of welcoming to it. We had, and at my gym, a bunch of people come through and who are very interested in powerlifting community, that sort of thing. And just were bros and just watched online and say, oh, this is how they do it online, so this is how we have to do it. And, as ownership, we walked up to them and said, hey, we see what you're doing. That's probably not the best way to get the results you're trying to get. So you should try it this way instead. or flat out, hey, don't do that. You will hurt yourself because you're not supposed to use the machine in the manner that you're using it, which is
Right.
honestly, it's education. If you can educate these people, hey, this is how you do the movement, and be confident and master that movement, then, whether they go to a global gym again and see people look at them, they know that they're in the right, they know what they're doing. And the people who don't know are really just the bullies and just trying to get it for the likes on social media. That's where you need to be watching out for. What do you think, Brad?
Yeah, I mean, when I was a trainer, I would, like, if I would see someone that was doing something that wasn't necessarily the way I would coach it, I would just like not sort of linger, but I would just strike up conversation like, hey, like, see you working, like, what program are you doing? Because there's a bunch of free programs, and often they'd be like, oh, I'm doing like starting strength or like Layne Norton's program, just to name a couple. But like, then I said, oh, like, what do you think of that? Just like striking up a conversation and and just build that sense of comfort, so that, and if they see like, hey, can you either like spot me, or like, what do you think about X, Y, and Z? So it's just being, listening and just being a nice person really like helps them, like be comfortable with you and ask the questions. Because a lot of times I was this way when I first started training. It's, I don't want like the biggest person in the room watching me because I felt weak in comparison. And, if you start to have that comfort with them, then it's like, hey, actually, like, what are your thoughts about this? So it's, just be nice to people.
Yeah, because like I know a lot of people who do want to go to the gym or do want to get into, whether it's a global gym like Ferd said, or a mom and pop gym like Hella Strength, anything like that. I know a lot of people really do want to go there, but they're just like, whether it's they're just new and they're relatively more shy and not scared, or maybe they feel like someone's watching them, or maybe they feel like they're being judged for doing something wrong. I feel like I want people to realize, like, for the majority of people who are at the gym, most of them, it's not that they don't care about the people around them, but they're really, most people who go to the gym, whether global or not, are really focusing in on themselves a lot of the time. And those people who are going to judge you are the people that everyone else is looking at, going like, just forget that guy, don't talk to him. Like, he's that roided out guy who's been roiding out since the 80s and he's just pissed off at life, don't talk to him or whatever. But yeah, so not saying nothing, and not that anything's wrong with steroids if you're like not doing any competition. I would just, it's just a stereotype. But
that's one of those things, right? Like, some people actually have to be on steroids or PEDs for legitimate reasons or for competitive reasons. Some federations like the USPA do allow for a non-tested division, so sometimes people who choose to use PEDs can compete and have that competitive thrill with other people who also are competing. That's why I'm a big fan of the USPA, because not only does it have a non-tested division, so people who are using PEDs can compete, but also people who don't use PEDs still have welcoming environment in a tested division. I myself, I'm a big proponent and competitor within the tested division. So, I have my friends on the non-tested side, and I have my friends on the tested side, and we're all trying to get stronger with our own selves. So you're only competing against yourself, really. That at the end of the day, that's what you have to look towards. Is that's my spiel on gear and PEDs.
Well, I wanted to go back to the gym culture for you, Ferd. So have you had members come in that have never picked up a weight before?
Oh yeah, we've had a couple of my friends are like, hey, I see you, like, past couple of years, you go up and down in your weight and your strength, and it's like, oh, what's the secret? I'm like, there's no secret. It's, if I lift, I lose weight, I'm fit. If I don't lift, then I get fluffy. So it really just get into the gym, and so I don't know, I'm scared. It looks intimidating. Like, you look so strong, and all these girls are super strong. Like, it's crazy. I'm like, honestly, if I have members who are underneath 120 pounds, lifting like 200-300 pounds worth of weight, and they're like, how does that girl be able to do that? I'm like, consistency. Just come in, learn, and have an open mind, because people here are not here to judge you. They're here to encourage you, and really, be a partner in your strength journey.
Right. I just wanted to quickly touch upon the PEDs because not saying that PEDs are wrong, but like I've been seeing, like I didn't know about this when I was like growing up in high school. I feel like I'm relatively like the newer-ish generation, somewhere between that millennial and Gen Z thing. But like I've recently just been hearing a lot of like, especially like teenagers who are like taking like SARMs and stuff. Like I didn't know anything about that growing up. I don't know if I would like to say I wouldn't have taken that stuff, but like, you know, it's all about the aesthetic. But like, if you're like talking to a teenager who's like wants to get fit or wants to get strong or just anything like that, like I'm just gonna say my opinion. I feel like they shouldn't be on stuff like that so early on, not because of like, oh, it might be detrimental to their health or whatever, because I don't know the side effects or anything like that, but I just feel like it's something like you're still young, you're in your prime. If you just work out now, you'll have a relatively strong base, and then if you want to, for once you're in college, once you're out of college, you can decide more on that. But I feel like a lot of teenagers are trying to get the visual appeal of that strong Chris Bumstead bodybuilder when they're like 16, and I feel like, I don't know, like that for me, that's like, it feels like I don't know, not inauthentic, but like it's like potentially dangerous type of road. I feel like a lot of young adults or young adults are going through. And how would you like talk to a kid who's like, if you find out like they're like on that stuff or thinking about wanting to be on SARMs or another steroid or anything like that, besides creatine, because you know creatine's the best. You know, just kidding.
Brad, you want to take that, or you want me?
Yeah. Well, so disclaimer: not medical advice. Not a doctor.
Not a doctor.
Just have to CYA right there. I mean, if someone's like hell bent on doing steroids, then like there's not really much you can do to stop them. I guess the only
think we lose Brad, or is he?
advice I would do, you fully understand what you're getting into, and then if you do decide to go down that road, get blood work done prior to starting, and then like once a quarter do blood work just so you can make sure that you're like not going too far and end up like those bodybuilders that have been dying in their early 30s. I haven't personally done much research into it because I just don't really have the need to do steroids, but from people that I know that do it, they will always say like, do research, make sure that you fully understand what you're getting yourself into.
Right.
Yeah. In terms of that, medical advice, go see a doctor. That's my medical advice. Anytime you take something supplements wise, whether it's just protein powders or like vitamins, even up to PEDs, and especially SARMs, I definitely recommend go see a doctor. Let them know your plans. So if you are hell bent on doing this, just actually have a safe baseline, like Brad was saying. Especially with SARMs. SARMs themselves are in nature, what they are is research chemicals. So in theory, there's no steroids are steroids. SARMs are not really sure what they do because they're still under research. So I would argue that they have a higher risk than steroids because you really don't know what they're going to do to you.
Yeah, like I think they say like not for human consumption.
Yeah, some of it's like not human consumption. I'm like, oh, I'll take 3 of these a day. Like, what are you doing? Do you know what that's going to do? But yeah, it's one of those things like, hey, you should look into SARMs and understand what this could do to your body long term. There was a friend of mine, college friend. Guy was yoked. He looked like the Terminator. He was 6-pack abs. But he always had a lot of acne. I didn't know what that was about. Come to find out later that that's a side effect of PEDs, and the person had health problems up to looking for like I believe it was an organ transplant. The guy was not even 30 yet. Right? There's risks, inherent risks for you using these supplements. And so I highly encourage you to go talk to a doctor to figure out if this is safe, you understand the risks, and if you want to do it, go do it. But you need to talk to a doctor first. So just to understand how this is going to affect your body. Now, as you're a teen going to the gym and trying to do SARMs, PEDs, or whatever have you, that is even more risk. Like, you should not be messing with that at all. Your body's still developing, and any of this stuff will mess up the natural
hormone years.
Yeah, natural progression and natural maturity of your bodies. I highly recommend don't do that. Highly recommend go tell a doctor, and hopefully that doctor tells you not to do it at that age.
And
go ahead.
That's the dark side of the fitness community, is everyone wants to be an influencer. So it's what shortcut can I take to get clout and to become, famous on TikTok or Instagram or wherever. And so people with that mindset don't necessarily care about the repercussions of what they're doing.
Right. Yeah. So like we spoke on influencers, and I know they're in the bodybuilding and powerlifting and all these communities. Like there's this whole like thing where there's like a lot of fitness influencers are like either not, like when they're selling their programs or whatnot, a lot of them are not open if they are taking PEDs or SARMs. And I feel like that's having a lot, especially because they're quote unquote influencers. They're really, all these young impressionable gym goers are like seeing that and thinking like, oh, he's like that jacked so naturally. He's at 1% body fat naturally. I should be like that by the time I turn his age. He's only like 23 or whatever. But I feel like a lot of these people, whether or not, who, especially the ones who are not natural and don't disclose that openly, are like, it's really dangerous for a lot of these young kids' mindsets. Some people, I know there's a few great I feel like fitness influencers or fitness people. I know there's the guy who's going viral on TikTok, YouTube right now, Noel. He's open about his use, and he's like, don't, like, I'm giving you advice, but remember, you can't attain my body naturally. He's outwardly saying that, and I feel like that's way more helpful for like the average one person want to go into gym, or a young teenager, like, oh, I can't do that naturally, but maybe I should still follow his advice on how to squat or how to do things. But I feel like there's this like, it's not like, it's like not a lie, but like there's like unspoken truth that like a lot of the people you're following, and they're not just, especially like, when you see the Marvel or DC superheroes when they do their workout, it's underlying thinking most of them are on some sort of enhancement outside of just eating chicken and rice every day. But I feel like because they want to say like, oh, I'm naturally like this, because they want to promote products, I feel like it's really detrimental to a lot of, especially younger generations, where they're like, oh, I want to be like Captain America or Thor and look like that. Because I just need chicken and rice, and then when they start just like, eating only chicken and rice, getting miserable with their diet, working out every day, and seeing they don't look like Thor in like 6 months, because this superhero, he had a 6-month transformation. I should have that same transformation. And whether or not they're doing enhancements or it's their genetics, I feel like a lot of young kids are then thinking, oh, maybe I need to do something else, and then they turning to PEDs or SARMs or something, and then that's very negative, obviously, for their health, especially as they're growing up, but not even their mental health, of just like trying to achieve this 1-year transformation, when it's like this thing takes like, I've been lifting on and off because of the pandemic for about 2-3 years, and I'm like nowhere near my goal is, but I have never thought like, oh, I need to look like Thor right now, because there's other stuff like your diet, your genetics, how much you're actually working out, how hard you're going, before you should even consider SARMs or PEDs at all, I feel. But I know a lot of people don't know that, or are getting tricked, and I feel like that's like really scary. But I also feel like because of the age of social media, a lot of that type of stuff is starting to get more open, like whether or not people are like disclosing they are or not, or more people are finding out, oh, that's not naturally how someone's supposed to look. And hopefully that myth of that type of like 5-minute abs for 1 year and you'll look like me, it's like, no, you already have naturally good abs at like 18. You're not going to look like him. But I feel like that type of like that veil is starting to come off, and I feel like a lot more people are now like realizing what an actual natural looking body with someone with decent nutrition and decent workout ethic actually looks like now. I feel like that's a lot more healthier long term than oh, I actually look like Arnold by the time I reached my 2nd year of working out. It's like, no, you're not going to look like Arnold right now at his 70-year-old body, let alone when he was Mr. Universe.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I think the best person that said it recently that went across my mind is Kumail Nanjiani. Hopefully I said that
Yeah,
right.
from the comedian. He's in Eternals recently, right?
His internals, and if you saw his superhero body, the boy was jacked. A year prior to that, he was on Silicon Valley, right? And you look at it, and he said, like, this is unnatural. It took Disney 7-8 months with the best trainers and nutritionists, 8 months to get him sorted into that position. And you think about that. That is the highest paid nutritionists and trainers you could find working on you 8 months straight and nothing else to get to that position, right? So I commend him for going out there and saying, hey, by the way, like my like I don't look like this. This is not natural, right? And so that's cool to see him say that. And that's where you go back to like the whole like, hey, I understand like the pressure for society to look a certain way. Men are supposed to look a certain way, women are supposed to look a certain way. That's why I kind of like the powerlifting community a lot, because there's not a charge or expectation for you to look a certain way. It's, can you lift the weight? It's all about your ability versus how you look. You go over to bodybuilding, it literally is, how do you look? That's how you're judged in bodybuilding. Then you go to CrossFit, it's like, again, combination of like, yeah, this is how, what can you do? What's your performance look like? So I'm always about the performance versus the aesthetic. But the last time I had abs was 18. So I'm 34 now, turning 35. So it's been a while since I saw my abs.
I've never seen my abs, so I mean, I'm already I'm at 24 now, so I'm like,
oh, funny story. I saw my abs. You can look into this. The Marine Corps boot camp has something called the Crucible, which is a 36-hour. I think it was 36-hour. No, it was more than that. It was like it's a 3-day long event, and it basically grueling, no food, no very little water, all these exercises and stuff like that. I think at the end of that Crucible, I weighed damn near 126 pounds at the end of it. Today, Ferd today weighs about 230. So you think about how thin I was then, that was the only time I saw abs. After that, I had a drink of water and a breakfast, and I never saw them again.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people don't realize like how little body fat you actually have to show your abs, but like that's like the main thing a lot of people are trying to get towards. There's like, you gotta have like a lot of nutrition, a lot of like focus in on your nutrition, like cut out a lot of sugary foods for a good amount of time, making sure you're in a calorie deficit, making sure you're building up, make sure you even have the genetics, even show your abs at a certain, because some people have their abs showing at like 18% body fat, other people you might not see until you're at 11, and that's like a big difference. That's like huge for me. I'm like, I've never seen my abs. I don't know if I get to the point where I see my abs. I don't know how I'm gonna like think if I even get to that point. And but yeah, that's just kind of what I was thinking. So we were talking about all this powerlifting. I haven't even asked like, could you guys like describe your powerlifting journey, like how you got into powerlifting, and then like what are some of your favorite memories? I have one specific memory that Ferd knows about. It's probably, I have a video of it. I'll say it after you guys are done. But it was like the funniest thing that's ever happened while I was like trying to do that deadlift at hella strength. It was like when you gave, not to say now, when you let me use the smelling salts for the first time, and I was like, I've always been seeing it. I knew people like hurt their nose or anything, but I didn't know what it was really. I thought it was gonna smell like Vicks or something. I don't know, because Vicks is the key. So I have a video. It might be on the screen right now. I might be showing it, where I smelled that for the first time right before I did like trying to do deadlifts at hella strength. I was like, for like the next day, I was still felt like I was smelling it. It was so if you ever see those videos of people doing smelling salts, and you want to do it, it might help you with your strength. It also might hurt your nose for like a week. So just be careful on that. That was the funniest thing, because like I was able to pull more than I had, but it was still like, oh, that was painful. I didn't know how. I wasn't expecting that strong of a reaction.
It is. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, so like if you guys want to go into like how you got into bodybuilding, powerlifting, how you guys got into powerlifting, your favorite memories, favorite meets, stuff like that. Whoever wants to go first.
You want to go first?
Yeah.
All right. That's absolute trash. So I got into powerlifting, no joke, because of an ex-girlfriend of mine. She got, at my old gym, a place called Hyper Strength. They had an emerging powerlifting program, just trying to build out who they were as a gym. And I took a real shine to that. And my girlfriend ended up being one of my ex-girlfriend being one of my coaches, and kind of ran with it. After we broke up, I was in a dark place trying to figure out what to do, and I just leaned into more powerlifting. And we just kind of from there, just kind of, been on a powerlifting tear since then. So that's my that's been my progression from powerlifting into like heartbreak into, well, first it was helping out a friend at the gym, getting into powerlifting because of a girl, heartbreak, and then taking off into something else that's been like really positive as a life. And I'm actually looking at the some of the results on a website called openpowerlifting.org. And if you're a competitor, you can actually pull up your stats. I'm trying to compare mine with Brad's right now, so that's where we are. He has
total you.
Huh? You do out me, but my dot score shits on yours. Yep. Oh, I think we lost him.
No, he's back.
All right. Yeah, no. Brad out totals me by, what is this?
Like 10 pounds.
By 15 pounds, 20 pounds. Yeah, it totals me by 20 pounds. So, but he in real life he is a lot stronger than me. But my dot score just is 30 points more. So
I'm also heavier than you,
which makes it mean that you should be able to lift more than me.
It should, yeah.
Which proves how strong I am.
Their bench is
better
really
pound for pound.
Oh yeah, better pound for pound. There you go. I am.
Brad,
yeah.
I think Brad, how'd you get into powerlifting? Like, what's your story and your favorite memories from it?
Yeah, so I actually started out with weightlifting, Olympic weightlifting. I was trash at that, but I really started to, Fruit's laughing, ass. I really started to enjoy I would do a lot of squats for accessory, and then like snatch, grip, deadlift, or clean pulls, which similar enough to a deadlift. And I really started to lean towards more of those movements because I just enjoyed doing those more instead of trying to, throw weight over my head in a actual athletic fashion. And then during that, I blew my hip out, my left hip, and the doctor said that I would never be able to lift heavy again. So I took that as, yeah, right, dude, I'll prove you wrong. And so once I could.
We lose him? Or is he?
Start training, this guy did for like 18 months. And, started from just the empty bar for a few reps, just as a front squat to make sure that, my hip could actually withstand the load. And then just built up there. And then I joined a powerlifting gym, met some really cool people there, and then decided to compete. That's where I met Ferd. And I would say my favorite memory, probably, so day 100 of squatting every day, once I could train, I hit 405 for the first time. My max before my hip injury was 335. So I was really proud of 100 days. So probably 6.5 months after my surgery to be able to put 80 pounds, 70, 80 pounds on my squat after they said I would never be able to lift heavy again. That's probably one of my happiest moments.
Nice. Yeah. My quote unquote powerlifting journey is obviously, I'm not like having done any competitions or anything as much as Ferd wants me to try, but
and you will. I'm telling you, you'll have fun. Because I don't think I said my favorite moment. Did I mention my favorite moment?
No, I don't.
Before you go on, my favorite moment was 2019 July 11th. I think July 12th. It was the drug tested national championships for the for the USPA, and my buddy is going to attempt a national, and it had nothing to do with me. My buddy is going to attempt a national record on his opening attempt. I'm juiced. I'm so excited for him. It looks great. He's going to do great. And he's in the back warming up, and he hits his last single before he has to hit the platform. And he hits the last single, and it's not coming off the ground. And so I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be rough. I hope to God he's going to go ahead and like have the adrenaline hit him, and he'll get it off the ground for the next one. Then I realized that didn't come off the ground. He added another 20 pounds on top of that for this opener. And I'm like, this is not good. This will be bad. He goes, he hits it. He attempts to pull. He passes out on the first attempt at the national stage, live stream and everything. It is terrible. It is bad. So I'm freaking out, saying like, oh God, is he okay? So I run in the back like, hey man, are you okay? And he looks up to me, and I don't know if you gentlemen have ever seen a person concussed. He looked like he had a concussion. And I'm like, you didn't fall that hard and you didn't hit your head. Are you okay? And all he could say is, like, do you want to try again?
Oh no.
Like, this is going to get violent. So he goes, and as I'm having this conversation with him, we have a chiropractor on our team, and she's like working the knots out of his back, hit him with a gun, like everything you can in the back to get him ready to try again. He goes again. He gets up, smack dab onto the ground. Like, oh my God, this man is hurt. Like, I think he's dead. So the second time I go back, I turn around, I look at him. He's like, do you want to try again? He's like, he just doesn't make a sound anymore. He's just like nodding. And I'm like, what day is it? I'm like, yeah, you're done. You're done. So, to me, but what was cool about that moment, aside from him almost dying, was the sense of community that we had, because all of our friends, all that team went up to him and supported him, because we knew how much he wanted to get this national title, and he went for it. He had the guts, and people were there to support him the whole way. It was a shit show. It should have never have happened that far, but hey, we were there to support him. So, yeah, a great friend of mine. He's actually one of the co-owners at Hello Strength. If you look into 2019, you'll find out who I'm talking about. But I rather not say his name on his podcast, because he might
don't do that to him.
Yeah,
People will find out. If they want to find out, they'll find out.
Yeah, but go find out. 2019 drug tested national opens.
The guy who passes out at minute 54. No.
Oh, actually, passing out deadlifts is pretty common.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you have to
Deadlift has
brace
the highest
and
skill
hold.
competition.
Yeah. What's this?
Oh.
We got
10-minute
10-minute warning. Oh no. It's not like we can make another room later. No, I'm just kidding.
So your favorite moment, go for it.
Oh,
Was it the
the smelling salt. So let's just do a quick thing about me doing any of the powerlifting lifts. Around like 2018, I started like really wanting to go to the gym. All right, started to just work on my health. Went to the gym at school, went to whatever the 24-hour near me. I was just trying to like work on my early on. I saw some improvement like on my squat. Obviously I'm like really bad at form. I'm trying to watch videos, trying to figure out, asking for help back then. And I feel like my form was getting better, but like people who have listened to podcasts, I got diagnosed with Graves, which is like a form of hyperthyroidism. Basically, my thyroid thought it needed to produce way more hormone than it did, made me lose hella weight, hella fat, had some muscle atrophy. So when I started when I got diagnosed and I started taking like medicine for that, my muscles were no longer like, oh, I need to keep breaking down, regenerating. It was more like, okay, let's just regenerate. Oh, we're really broken right now. So like I would like get like the worst, like if I just like stood up properly, I got a cramp in my hamstring. Like that's how like I didn't realize how bad my muscles were until like I started like getting on that. So I was like, okay, let's not go to the gym for like too much for a year, like half a year to that. I got my weight ballooned up, but I realized, oh, I'm no longer like hurting, right? So I went back to the gym, and then that's when I really saw progress actually go up, because my muscles weren't like, breaking down faster than they could regenerate. So like So that's 2019 through then obviously 2020 pandemic happened. Went back sometime last year, and then saw my progress go up again outside of my bench because I need bench more often, maybe, or something. I don't know. My bench, maybe it's my form. I have no idea. Anyway, so fast forward, I go to we're in Akba, and we're part of the same fam. Ferd is the founder of our fam, and then so it's kind of like, for someone who doesn't know, it's kind of like, it's basically a Filipino, not Filipino fraternity, but if you know fraternity sorority, it's kind of the same format. So my big or ate, she was like, hey, our founder has a new gym. You should come by. They're having like a soft opening. You should come by and just like hang out. There's like a free lifting day. So I went in and I was like, you know what? I haven't done deadlifts this weekend. I'll try going on a deadlift. So like, I just like did my working sets of deadlifts, and everyone at the gym's like, you should try to go for one rep to see what your max is. I'm like, peer pressure, let's go. So I started like, slowly, because obviously I'm relatively new, so it's not that hard of a thing. And I'm going through the weights and I'm like, oh, this is way easier. I'm way stronger than I thought. Because like for a lot of new people, sometimes their strength gains or like go faster than what they think how strong they are. I think that's where I was at. And that's why I wasn't seeing a little bit of progress at that point, because I was way stronger in my squat and my deadlift than I thought I actually was at that point. And then Ferd comes like, hey, you should try this thing, right? And I was like, try. Oh, I looked at it. It's like, oh, that's the smelling salts ammonia thing. Like I've heard about that, not knowing what it is. So there's this video of me going up. Someone's recording me going up to Ferd, and he just puts up my nose right before like I'm testing for a max. And I just like, I had like the worst reaction. It was like, it went through my entire face. Like I thought I like it's supposed to wake you up, but I thought I was about to pass out from how the reaction was. And I'm just like, I'm going for it. And then I just went and I pulled it. And then I was like, that was good. And I put more weight on the bar. Do it again. Because I was like, oh. So I did it again. And basically what I found out throughout the rest of that day and a little bit of the day after, I was like, am I still smelling it? Is it in my nose? How do I'm trying to like flush my nose out. I'm like blowing my nose, going to the shower. But I'm like, oh man, this is just, I don't think I should do that again unless like I'm going for another one. And I mean, I've tested my one rep later on, but I was like, I don't know if I should. But then I was like, maybe I should buy it. Right? I'm looking all, I'm like, which one should I get it? I didn't end up getting it yet, but it's more like, I don't know. But yeah, that was my funniest moment, because it was just like, I got the reaction on video. It was just like, it's hella funny. Yeah, that was basically it. It was just the funniest thing, because I was just like, I'm at this powerlifting gym. I'm trying to impress people who probably don't even care that I'm getting over 300 right now. But let me try. And here comes Ferd like with the smelling salts, like da, da, da. Hey, you should try this. Like he is the PED drug dealer. Like, hey, I got some smelling salts. You want some?
Smelling salts. I think there should be a podcast on just how to use them, because I had one meet where someone's like, hey, I see you have smelling salts. Can I use them? I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm gonna call her out because this is funny. Dr. Myra lifts. Dr. Myra _ lifts. Homegirl takes a smelling salt strip, snaps it, smells it, and stands there for another 5 minutes before going onto the platform to lift. I'm like, what are you doing? The whole thing, and Pat, correct me if I'm wrong, the whole thing about smelling salts is to wake you up, but it's also to trigger your fight or flight response. So basically at that point, you can go ahead, have the adrenaline boost so you can hit it, not smell it, and then wait for 5 minutes and then do it. It's the whole, that's
session.
That has to be like boom, boom, boom. So it's pretty funny, but good times all across the board.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of if I have any more questions.
Yeah, 4 minutes, buddy.
So I just wanted to ask you guys, like, so I have some people who are like trying to learn the form, like form of the squat, form of the deadlift, form of the bench. What's your, if like you don't have any powerlifting gyms near you, or someone listening to this doesn't have powerlifting gyms near you or anything, what's like the best resource of like learning those forms and like trying to figure out how to like whether you need to correct something. Like for me, I have a little bit of hip shift. It doesn't cause me any pain, but I am trying to like correct it now. Just saying like to see like when I lift heavy, I don't get pain. So like for most people, they say like that shouldn't be too bad, but it's still something like sometimes it's worse than other days. So like for me, I know I have to like stretch it out a little bit more, do a few more warm ups, and usually that gets rid of most of it. But for some people, like how do you like whether or not it's learning or correcting form, how would you teach them if they're like there's no coach nearby, there's no powerlifting gym? How would you like advise how would you advise those type of people to like learn how to lift those 3 lifts or any lift or any machine or anything like that?
Let the gym owner take this one.
Honestly, you go find, if you don't have any resources, I definitely would go reach out and research and try to find an online coach to help you. A lot of people will try to watch YouTube videos and say, I'm going to learn bro science. And most often than not, trying to interpret bro science into what you can actually do locally could end up hurting yourself. So I definitely would recommend getting a coach. In terms of like, if you're local to the Bay Area, and I hope the podcast is listening out there, Hella Strength is open. We will definitely take you guys in under our wing and train you. We do have a competitive team and we have a very welcoming environment. Would love for y'all to come out and just check out the gym. It has really cool lighting. So you'll look really good, even though if you're not a bodybuilder. So
nice plug.
Definitely come out.
Plug.
Yeah, thank you. That's what I try to do. But yeah, check us out. Go find coaches. Flat out, find coaches. If you're trying to learn a subject, you don't try to self-teach yourself because you'll end up messing something up. So.
And go to a gym where you are not the strongest person.
Oh yeah, that to me is like one of the biggest things. If you're the strongest person in the gym, you'll have that alpha mentality, and you're not going to push yourself. You show up, and I think that was one of the coolest things was I went from my old gym, starter gym, where I was one of the strongest guys there, transitioned over to a powerlifting gym, and I was the weakest man in the room. And because of that, it pushed me further to get stronger. And now I'm pretty strong. I was a strong fellow. I dropped off because of work, but I mean, I still think of myself as a pretty strong fellow. So do not go to the same gym or don't stay in a place where you're the strongest.
Hey guys, we just had to restart the meeting. Brad had to hop off. If you want if he wants to put any social media out there, I'll put that in the description down below, or it was probably under his video. I'll ask him about that. I'll ask you for contact information later. But yeah, for resources, yeah, like what they said, I feel like the best thing is to like, since the world, like a lot of the world is online now, I think the best thing would be to first try to find some sort of like some sort of powerlifting coach, powerlifting community in your area or online that can help you out. And you're trying to figure out how to what's the term? Just like if you want like your form to be corrected or learning the form, like worst case scenario, if you're just gonna learn from online videos, I feel like the best word of advice is to record yourself, because like even if like your body obviously is gonna look a little bit different, maybe you're more lankier, more shorter, but you have longer arms, longer legs, longer torso. But like if you know what the basics of the form is and you're in a community, like let's say like some powerlifting forum or some YouTuber who has a healthy, good community and they're always helping each other out, and there's no powerlifting gym or anyone near you who is doing that, the best thing you can do is record. Because if I didn't record, I wouldn't have known I had a hip shift. No one's I'm usually lifting alone, and even when I'm lifting with people, usually they're not like also powerlifting like experts or even like powerlifting in general. They're just there to help me out or to work on themselves and just do some lifts. So like I would have known I had a hip shift, which again, from what I've been told, is not necessarily bad if like that's how you naturally are. And for me, usually it does come out like that and there's no pain. But I also know that, well, there's no pain now. How do I know there's no pain 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 50? Like that's what I don't. So I'm trying to correct that now. If I never recorded myself, I never would have found that out. And if it was something that would cause me pain, I could have like tried to max out on a squat, and now all of a sudden like everything shifted over, and I hurt myself. And that's like like as much as I've never had an injury like that bad before, but I don't want it to be because of something that I could have corrected myself earlier on. So at worst case scenario, even if you have a coach or you have people near you, recording yourself not just for like documenting your strongest lifts or documenting like whether maybe you're vlogging your gym going activities, but it's just something to show like, hey, this is where I am now. I'm going up in strength. Is anything in my form wrong? You can ask advice like, hey, how can I improve this bench? How can I improve? Is my elbows too high? Should I go high bar, low bar on a squat, sumo or conventional? Like if I didn't record myself, we would not have found out that my body has less of a hitch when I do conventional. And I do think I'm kind of more stronger in sumo, but that hitch like is like, like that whole lower back is like stabilization for the deadlift, especially in the squat. If like I having that hitch and I try to go for like a new PR and that it's not causing me any pain, but like let's say that hitch goes wrong one day, well now that's like 5 years setback on everything I ever wanted to do, even if it was just like whatever. So yeah, I feel like at worst case scenario, always record yourself, or at least record yourself when you're going on max effort. See if any form is deteriorating. See if other people have advice for your form. And yeah, that's what I would say as a very novice. Like if I were to consider myself, I'd be somewhere between like beginner, intermediate, if what people say online. It's like, especially maybe intermediate more on my squat and deadlift. Definitely beginner on my bench because I haven't even hit my body weight on bench yet. But yeah,
definitely. I would definitely say that from a perspective of myself in my powerlifting journey, it got to a point where I kept on lifting and posting videos just for that fact, just to have a lifting video to say, hey, here's my progression, that sort of thing. And it dawned on me as well, like, hey, I need to record my video attempts. So there's a documented progression of my lifting from the very beginning all the way through to my current state. Good, bad, or ugly, you still see the lifting, and not every day is gonna be a good lift. So it got to a point on my primary social media that I ended up kicking it over to my lifting media page. For those of you who keep me scored, is at Ferd Lifts on Instagram and Twitter. So once I did that, right now I have a running diary of like what I did for the day, my workout, how I felt, and like here's how it looks for nobody else but for yourself. You're just saying, hey, this is how I am now. This is my recording. Sometimes you get lucky, you get a nice couple good videos, you get a spike, and next thing you know, you have a couple thousand people following you, just watching your progression, which is really cool for me. And got connected with a couple of people that kind of snowballed into me owning a gym. So you never know where having a lifting Instagram will take you. So definitely just for yourself, record it and then hashtag it and see what happens, because you never know what ends up happening.
Right. Yeah. And then I just want to do one more thing. I know Brad's gone, but like I want to talk about like people who are like really beginning. They're set on powerlifting. They're in the beginning stages. They're really like, oh, I'm almost at 135 on all my lifts. I'm getting there. I'm almost at 2 plates on my deadlift or something. I just want to like give some advice, like for me, and then for you, who's definitely more advanced, more experienced. For someone who's like closer to that beginner intermediate stage, who's like a few years into it, but still not. I wouldn't call myself like, I don't think I could like coach a person outside of like giving advice, like, oh, your elbows should be here. But for me, the biggest things that besides learning the form and recording yourself, biggest things for me, that especially for me, I've learned recently, even though I'm a bigger guy, recently I've been trying to document my nutrition, my macros or whatever. That's more of a closer to more of a body building mindset. But for me, I was realizing, oh, I'm eating like 800 calories less than I should be eating on my body weight and way less protein. And I'm like, maybe that's why my lifts aren't going as strong. So now I've upped my calories a bit. Yeah, right now I feel like, for what people don't know, that's like under eating. Your metabolism has like really slowed down because you are under eating, because it wants to preserve as much energy. So for me, I'm eating more now, hopefully, and eating a lot more protein now. For me, hopefully that results in a short term maybe gain, but like long term, the muscle packs on much better, much more easier. And then obviously the goal for me is to lose as much more fat, more weight, but still maintain a good amount of strength, because I'm still at that phase where I feel like I can build strength and muscle way easier than maybe someone who's a few more years into it, who's like at this like plateau. Like I haven't hit that plateau yet, but at the same time, so nutrition, form, not saying you should have to track, like go like what I'm doing on my fitness pal, tracking everything, but like just eating a good amount of protein. Not saying you should cut out sugar or anything, because like mentally that could be detrimental to someone. Um, Other than that, if you're seeing like people, like if you see like a program by your favorite influencer, you might want to get it if you can afford it. But most of the time, there's a lot of people on YouTube, on TikTok, who are giving out workouts for free. Like who you don't typically need a program until maybe you're more years of it. I still haven't bought a program. I'm not planning to at this point because I'm broke. But that's because I'm broke. And also, um, I have some equipment. I got straps. I recently got some knee sleeves and a decent belt now. Got powerlifting shoes, but for the most part, if you're a newbie, just don't be intimidated by someone like, "Hey, I got this. I got the SBD belt, and I'm looking really good." It's like, just go in, learn the lifts. Don't be intimidated by someone who's lifting with straps and you don't have straps. Like, you get a baseline level of strength, because those things are accessory to people who are more intermediate advanced, who are trying to break their plateau more than them. If you're a learner, within like 6 months, you should you'll see your strength skyrocket. You don't need that type of stuff yet. You should invest that when you're getting more a few years in, when you know your form decently. It's not mandatory. Like, will it help? Sure, but like, will 5 pounds here, 5 pounds there really help when you're like squatting a new 10 pounds every week because you just started going to the gym and all of a sudden your legs went from twigs to tree trunks in a year? No, it's not going to help too much there. So don't invest in equipment that you don't have to yet. Learn the form, do your nutrition, and also obviously go often, exercise often as you can, as you normally can. If you obviously have like a lot of heavy work hours and you can't really work outside of going to a 24-hour at like 12 in the morning, don't like push yourself too much to the point you don't get sleep. But go when you can, lift regularly, and especially if you're a beginner, you'll see progress. Like for me, after I got my Graves, when I got my medicine and my weight ballooned up and I went back to the gym, like my strength skyrocketed. I didn't need most of that equipment. I didn't need. You'll see progress. It might not show in your, like, if you want a physique like we were talking about earlier, it might not show immediately, but like in the long run, you'll thank yourself that you were able to learn this form first and not thinking straps is going to help your deadlift more than good or just even decent form. So, Ferd, what would you give advice for a young power lifter to be on, like what they should do, what they should not do, just like in the beginning stages?
Beginning stages, find yourself community. Basically, the road and pathway to like fitness is pretty difficult. No way to slice about it. Like, it's not easy. You're gonna be distracted. You're gonna have parties. You're gonna have social events, and I'm not saying you don't go to those, but it's very easy to like lose yourself and say, "Oh, I'm gonna go out tonight, so I'm not gonna go to the gym tomorrow." It's very easy to do that. If you find yourself in a community, you kind of, at that point, you actually start building the baseline to say, my community wants to be powerlifters, wants to be weightlifters, wants to be strongmen or women, or whatever that community may become. Those are the people that's going to help you become accountable, and that's going to help you get to the next stage in your fitness pathway, fitness journey. For anybody who wants to go into weightlifting or powerlifting, that sort of thing, there's very little you need in terms of equipment, and really, there's, for you starting off, it's really just, hey, is this something I want to do and something I want to invest my time in? Because once you get into it, you'll end up learning that there's accessories that help stabilize your elbows, help support your knees, help you have a better squat, brace your core better to have bigger and more massive weight on your back. All these different things come to it, but what it comes down to is education and training and the programming, right? So like, if you find your community, they're going to tell you, hey, who they use for their coaches, what they do in terms of their training program, and that's really going to build the baseline for you. So really, for anybody starting off, find the community, and then from there, kind of pick and choose what you like to do and what you don't like to do, and that's going to carry you forward into the fitness journey. So that's how I look at it.
All right. Yeah, I feel like that's a good place to end it for today. Thanks, Ferd, for coming on the GoLoco show, talking about powerlifting, talk about you. Thank you for bringing Brad on. Yeah. Do you want to like last minute plugs, last minute saying? I know Brad's not here, but
Brad's not here. Yeah, for all you guys listening to the podcast, please reach out, follow Brad, give him a follow on Insta. His is quadfather, one word _strength. Guy's lifting out of Hawaii now, so cool place to train for him. My name again is Ferd. My Insta handle is at Ferd FERD _lifts. Come follow me. I'm a co-founder, co-owner of Hella Strength Gym. So Insta is going to be at Hella Strength. Come follow us if you're in the Bay Area. Reach out to me. Hopefully, I can hook you up with a free day pass and get you going on your fitness journey. So, thank you for having me on the podcast today. I know Brad wants to say thank you as well. It's been fun. Hope to see y'all the next time, and perhaps maybe on the competitive side of lifting. So
we'll see about that. We'll see. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching, listening here. If you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, any of that, give us a follow, give us a rating. Remember, we have Patreon, patreon.com/GoLocoPod. Help me out monetarily in that sense. But thank you all so much once again. Thank you, Brad, for coming on the show, talk about powerlifting and all the stuff that entails. All their social media handles that they wish to disclose will be in the description down below, if not already on screen. So anyway, thank you all once again, and wherever and whenever you are, have a great day. Peace out.
Peace.